We are a family of four. It's my husband Ken and I, and my daughter Soren and Mason. Soren is 20 and Mason is 18. We live in California, about 30 minutes outside of San Francisco.
We didn't know anything when we brought him home. We had no idea. We didn't know until about 3 weeks in that there was a serious problem with Mason, and how we knew this is because he cried a lot, but also seemed unusually strong for being 1, 2, 3 weeks old. By the time he was 3 weeks old, he was nearly able to, I could stand him up on the table and he just could stand. He was so stiff. And I remember asking Ken, is this normal? Because we had our daughter and she could never do this. Then at 3 weeks old, on a Sunday, I was holding him and he was facing Ken and he kind of jerked. He kind of moved and it looked like his eyes rolled back. And at that point, when Ken saw him, he immediately said, "Get your things, we have to go to the ER." And so at that point, I didn't know what was happening, but once we got to the ER, within probably 20 minutes is when his first seizure started.
And then that's when they decided to call the pediatric endocrinologist at UCSF, but they weren't sure what it was. And then at that point, he suggested we get tested. And so we both became negative, didn't have issues. So then we realized it was a spontaneous mutation that he had. And so since then, we've been pretty much, I guess, just dealing with since then.
For Mason, having the spontaneous mutation, I think when we first realized it, we were like, gosh, how did this happen, you know? The first thought, of course, was to blame myself. Like, did I eat the right things and all that sort of stuff? But for me, when I think of him being spontaneous, it's just the unknown. Like, how did this happen? And just wishing that I knew how to have prevented it.
When you talk to people about ADH1 with his condition specifically, and you tell them that he has hypocalcemia, they don't really understand because they see him and he looks perfectly fine. They don't see him going to labs at 6 in the morning before school, sometimes twice a week. They don't see him like at a game, a basketball game or practice, during a water break, taking extra Tums because we think that will raise his calcium level. So they don't see those things because physically, you know, people with ADH1 look
healthy, otherwise
like
healthy.
Else. Yeah, they look like everyone else. That's the challenging part when you try to kind of relay the challenges you have, but they don't see the difficulty that it could be.
I remember during elementary school, I'd have to get pulled out of class like multiple times a day to go to the office to get my medication, and then also like the summer camp stuff, I had to like stay behind. Yeah.
How'd that make you feel?
Pretty bad. Yeah.
There's nothing to be embarrassed about or get one like high, because you're an amazing kid, and this has never defined you, you know, as a person. And definitely I made sure that you didn't make excuses for yourself and really overcame a lot, you know? So I'm really proud of you.
It was definitely traumatic for us and for him.
I think the biggest difficulty is that not knowing. We didn't know what the diagnosis was. We just knew his calcium was low. We didn't have there's no like definitive treatment plan. We just kind of figured out like, let's just do labs here, adjust this. So, And then we thought we didn't know anybody else who has this condition. So really not knowing what it was and what caused it, or like really how to treat it.
Not knowing anyone else.
Yeah, not knowing anybody else. And then that's probably the hardest part. And people ask like, oh, what does he have? And you just say his calcium is low, and no one really understands that.
The severity of
Yeah.
what that meant for him, which in my opinion, was life or death.
We always considered it to be he was hypocalcemic. It wasn't until more recently that we realized, oh, this is actually called ADH1.
I think the biggest thing is being an advocate, you know? I think in the beginning, like for us, we didn't know anything.
I think the fact that BridgeBio is a company that cares about rare genetic disorders is such a gift and a blessing that we can't express enough how grateful we are that somebody cares about Mason or these other kids that have no treatment options, really.
Yeah, I remember we found out it was called ADH1. It just felt good that there's other people with this condition and that there's hope for the future.
Am I